Chair Dickey, we are ready to go whenever you are.
Good, thank you. I would like to start this meeting by recognizing that the area that we call the Fraser Valley Regional District has been home to the Lakatma, Shataplium, Stalo, and Stalis peoples for generations. There are 31 communities with reserve lands in the FERD's jurisdiction and as many as 69 groups with interests in the area. This diverse landscape means that there are many different viewpoints that need to be considered when we make decisions, because what we decide as a local government can affect everyone in different ways now and in the future. So as part of our collective responsibility, I commit that we continually examine the work we do to ensure that our projects, plans, initiatives, and discussion are guided by the principles of inclusion, collaboration, and reconciliation today and in the future. So with that in mind, I'd like to call to order the June 13th, 2024 meeting of the Electoral Area Services Committee meeting. Ms. Kinnan.
Thank you. So the first item on our agenda is the chair's report on Regional and Corporate Services Committee meeting.
Yeah, we discussed this, Ms. Kinnaman and I believe everyone that is present at this time was present at this morning's meeting. So I don't really see any need to go over that meeting again. So I'll move forward.
Okay, so item 4 is approval of the addenda and late items.
Motion, move Director Johnson, second Director Makahonic. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
Item 5.1 is a show cause hearing, which is bylaw building code contraventions at 13620 Stave Lake Road in Electoral Area F.
Okay, so this would be an opportunity for any of the neighbors to this property or the property owner to make a declaration before the committee.
So, Mr. Chair, I do see we have a number of people on Zoom with us today. So if any of those people joining us online wish to speak to this item, they can hit the raise hand function. And if you are joining us by phone, you can hit *9 to indicate that you wish to speak. So we'll maybe just give our online viewers a moment to hit the raise hand function or hit *9 if they're joining us. And I'll just check with our in-person audience to see if there was any comments with respect to this item. And it looks like nobody in person, and it does not appear that anybody online wishes to speak to this item.
Okay, so we would be looking for a motion. Directors, move Director Dixon, second Director Davidson. Discussion.
Davidson?
Go ahead, please, Director Davidson.
So not speaking to the matter of this motion specifically, but to bylaw enforcement in general, I do have some concerns, basically around timelines. I can get into it now or perhaps defer it for another date, but I just would like it noted that this is a bylaw enforcement case that was first initiated in 2008, and here we are 16 years later going to a notice on title. When you look at the timeline that's in the show cause report, you have gaps of 7 years and 6 years where the ball was in FERD's court but no action was happening. So this does raise concerns for me about bylaw enforcement management in general. And I do have some thoughts on that. I'm just looking for some feedback if now is the appropriate time or we should carve out a separate time to speak to that.
Okay, thank you, Director Davidson. Staff.
Through the chair to Director Davidson, I would recommend that you bring that forward at another time, that really this is the time to speak about this specific case. My suggestion would be that The matters that you're identifying are likely related to staffing, and it would be ideal perhaps during the EASC strategy session that's scheduled for September the 11th, where we could discuss augmenting the bylaw enforcement team to expedite files in the way that you're describing.
So the specific concerns I would have at first would be around reporting KPIs. For example, you look at ChatGPT, you ask the question, what KPIs should municipal bylaw enforcement report in Canada? You'll get a list of 27 different KPIs that should be reported on, and I don't think we do any of them, to be honest. So before we get to staffing discussions, I think we need to get into reporting discussions. And if that was best done at the strategy, at the priority session, would that be your take as well for that discussion?
Yes, through the chair to Director Davidson, I guess what I was suggesting was service level expectations when it comes to the bylaw enforcement service area.
Right, and I think I would want to start with reporting, just having the data as to where we are, and that comes back to KPIs. But if that makes sense to defer to the priorities discussion, I know I have a conflict for part of that. I'm hoping that we can just make sure that the bylaw enforcement discussion happens at such a time that I can attend.
Sure, I'll make a note of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Director Davidson, and for other directors who are acronym challenged as much as I, KPI is Key Performance Indicator. Thank you. So we need a motion. We already have the motion in place. That's right. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor. Contrary, motion carries.
Item 6.1 is Electoral Area C Official Community Plan and Associated Neighborhood Plans. And today we have a staff presentation.
Ms. Hipwell, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So today, David and myself will present on the Area C Official Community Plan and Associated Neighborhood Plans for Harrison Mills and Lake Erock. Our discussion today will focus on some key policy directions you can anticipate in the upcoming Area C bylaw that's being brought forward next month for first reading, or for consideration of first reading, I should say. And then a summary of the land use plans that you'll see contained within that OCP. So this will be a familiar slide to the committee, but the Area C OCP consists essentially of 3 separate Area C projects that have been undertaken over the last few years. We have the Harrison Mills Neighborhood Plan, which is an FERD-led community planning project in Harrison Mills. We have the regular work plan item of the Area C OCP review and update. And then we have the application for a major OCP amendment to facilitate the Lake Erock gravel pit redevelopment. And together, these 3 projects will be considered as a single bylaw per the direction of the board from last month. So again, another familiar slide, but just to highlight the connection between the OCP and the neighborhood plans. The Area C OCP really serves as the kind of high-level umbrella policy that sets out concepts for growth management through rural villages in Area C. And through those concepts of concentrated rural village development, we see the preservation of rural areas in between. Where we see these high-level policies really applied is in our neighborhood plans. So we have our Harrison Mills Neighborhood Plan, which presents a concept for an integrated rural village. And then we have our application for major OCP amendment for the Lake Erock gravel pit redevelopment. And as the committee is aware, after analysis of that initial application, it was clear that with the considerable offsite impacts and the required integration with the existing neighborhood of Lake Erock, a neighborhood plan has been developed around that application as well. So I'll highlight a couple of key policy priorities that you'll see in the upcoming OCP draft, and then I'll hand it over to David to get into the land use plans. So the first, of course, being that growth will be managed through neighborhood plans. The OCP establishes 2 neighborhood planning areas, one in Harrison Mills and one in Lake Erock. And that's where we'll really see sort of compact rural village development occur, preserving areas outside of those rural villages in keeping with the rural character that is highly valued by the residents of the community. The OCP will also touch on improved services and amenities within the neighborhood planning areas. This would include provision of services for community water and sewer, but also expanding kind of the scope of services that are provided within the area into active transportation infrastructure and access to transit, all things that kind of together apply a more complete community idea in the neighborhood planning areas. Then we have policy that speaks to expanded environmental protections. So through early engagement with residents, Indigenous communities, stakeholders within the area and provincial agencies, environmental protection was identified as a key priority in Area C, given the unique ecological aspects that are there. So as part of that information received early on in our consultation process, 2 new environmental assessments have been undertaken in the plan area, and the recommendations from those assessments are integrated into new development permit areas for the protection of the environment. And then we also see a body of policy around improved collaboration with Indigenous communities. And this is really in all aspects of service delivery within the plan area. So that'll speak to coordination on servicing, but also integrating traditional ecological knowledge within the body of policy around the environment and ecology. It would also speak to support for the role of existing guardian programs and advocacy for improved land management for provincial rec areas. So these key kind of policy directions will be funneled into our neighborhood plans, and that's where we'll see them applied. And from there, I'll turn it over to David.
Thank you, Caitlin. So I'm going to be presenting today on the land use plans for Harrison Mills and Lake Erock. The full report on both these neighborhood plans is coming in the July agenda, but I would be happy to schedule any time that area directors might have for questions after this presentation. So I'll start first here with Harrison Mills. So Harrison Mills neighborhood plan area is, see my mouse, down here, 200 hectares or about 500 acres of land. There's around 600 existing residents in existing subdivisions within the plan area. And the main economic driver would be the Sandpiper Golf Course. The current plan for Harrison Mills is over 24 years old. Community plan, I should say. So when identifying the community's core values, protecting and enhancing the natural environment was number 1. So Harrison Mills is environmentally sensitive and significant. It's a salmon stronghold, an important bird area, wildlife management area, and we've learned more about the relationships between salmon, the foreshore, raptors, and eagles as we've gone through this process. So this is Harrison Mills, sort of reoriented the map here with north at the top. And this map is showing those ecologically sensitive zones along the foreshore. There's a foreshore management area within the plan area. We've got known raptor and eagle nests within the plan area. Those are studied through secondary environmental assessments. And the Elbow Creek Wildlife Corridor that runs through the golf course from Elbow Creek down into the Harrison River. So this map is showing some of the constraints in the landscape from an environmental perspective. Okay, so this is going to be hard to see, and the legend will be very difficult to see, but this is the land use plan. So the land use plan sets out land use designations for future land uses within the plan area. I'll touch on a couple of key ones. So the one that I can see the best is this blue one here. And this is what we're calling the village center. And within this land use designation, land uses that would be permitted would be ground floor commercial oriented development with residential on top, with the intent of creating a compact village type of development within this portion of the plan. Next to it, these sort of off purple colors, this is a recognition of the existing commercial uses at the Sasquatch Inn, the former Silver Dollar General Store. Recognition of the existing single family homes. Now next to Elbow Creek is a green conservation area, which wouldn't allow for built form development. However, south of the creek, this kind of tan color is a compact residential designation. And what that would allow for would be similar built forms that you would see within these existing stratas, but would allow for different types of structures. So you could think of things like duplexes or triplexes, but mirroring that built form. And then within the resort itself, the designation here is for resort, and that would allow for continuation of the uses that Sandpiper's already doing. So golf course, their special events, the cabin facilities that they offer for rent. Moving up to the edges of the land use plan, these grayer areas here are limited designations because literally it is a hillside. So there are development challenges on these portions of the plan area. And this brown area is crown land, but further away from the village center in an area that also has challenging topography, would it be more limited in scope to what the development potential would be in these areas. So the plan itself doesn't specify maximum densities or units that would be anticipated within these designations. So based on the environmental constraints that we saw on the previous slide, taking into consideration preservation of foreshore really limits the development potential. But we do have an understanding that there's the potential for 250 to 300 units in this plan. So the current official community plan does not have an environmental development permit area that encompasses the whole neighborhood, or one that really recognizes the full range of environmental values. And the new draft plan has a new environmental development permit area. And some of the highlights of this permit area would be summarizing bioinventories. So when a development application is received, they would have to identify environmental values and resources, current conditions of their lands, review for rare and endangered species, and conduct nest surveys to avoid the nesting seasons, protecting and identifying mature trees within the foreshore that have nesting potential. And currently there is no tree preservation development permit area within the plan area. And this new development permit area would introduce tree protections, so identifying root protection areas, protecting significant trees in groups rather than in isolation, recommendations for preserving wildlife corridors, and providing offset measures for if there are to be trees removed. So bring into the plan area a brand new development permit area to recognize the environmental significance of Harrison Mills. Okay, so that's Harrison Mills. So there's our land use plan, the environmental development permit area. And I'm going to switch gears here and talk about Lake Eric, other neighborhood plan within the community plan. So the FERD received an application to develop the existing Lake Eric gravel pit. And this pit has been in operation for many years. Over those years, there have been conflicts between the pit and the existing residents. This is the development proposal before us today. So the proposal calls for 144 single-family lots, and we now know with provincial legislation changes that these lots would also accommodate secondary suites. So on those 144 single-family home lots, could see upwards of 288 dwelling units. There's some new built forms proposed that we don't really see in the regional district outside of Hemlock and in Cultus Lake. So townhomes and apartments and multiplexes. So 97 townhomes, 67 apartments, and a number of multiplexes. So singles, duplex, 3-unit type developments, bringing the number of dwelling units to around 485. This is the land use plan map based on the development application. So recognizing the existing community within the kind of off peach color here, there really isn't any change to that designation. The pit itself is on the west side of Highway 7. And I'll talk about these polygons here. So the pink here is the suburban residential, where single family homes with suites will be accommodated. I'm sorry, go back to that. Brown area, well, it was brown when I printed it. Around here, this is the apartment residential. And that's where you could see townhomes, triplexes. There's a portion of the top of the development at the hillside here and here. The apartment residential is down near Beaudry Road and Lougheed Highway, and that would be 3-story ground-oriented parking apartments. And this purple polygon down here is a commercial land use. And so that would allow for like live-work type of arrangements, but what it would not be, it would not be a gas station, it would not be a drive-through, not those types of commercial uses. And my last slide here, this is the conceptual plan. So overlaying the developer's road network and some of the civil work on top of that land use plan, just to show you what this would look like. Here we've got the location of the proposed sewer system, the new water tower, pedestrian connectivity trails leading from the development site through to the existing community, a off-highway bus loop. So when we were talking with the school board, they said that the buses wouldn't likely go up into the development, but could be accommodated at a common drop-off area here. And in working with BC Transit, identifying this as a location for a potential transit stop as well. Could also imagine that community mailboxes may be located in an area like this. So I'll wrap up here and say that the purpose of this presentation was really to show you those land use plans and those development concepts, and to highlight the possible densities of these two neighborhood plans. And again, this Lake Erock neighborhood plan was application driven, whereas the Harrison Mills application was not an application, it was an FERD led process. And I would be happy to schedule a time with you if you'd like to discuss these in more detail. And the full report on both of these is coming in July. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Bennett. And we have time for any questions or comments made by directors. Director Wardenberg.
Yeah, thank the staff for their preliminary. I believe it's preliminary. This isn't written in stone so far. It's what's come out of the I guess my question is this is information that's come out of the except for the application, but as far as Harrison Mills community plan, it's come from a series of consultation with the residents and the developer Celtic.
Yeah, through the chair, that's right, Director Wardenberg. So we've had over the last 2.5 years, 7 meetings with the community out in Harrison Mills. It's really been a community-driven process from the ground up. Was sparked by interest by Celtic in developing, but was not led by any of their development plans. It's led through that consultation process.
So it's a long time in the making, and it's not final.
No, we are presenting the package of the OCP and the 2 neighborhood plans next month for the board's consideration of first reading.
Okay, well, question on the foreshore of the Harrison Mills community plan is for under the protection for wildlife, the setbacks from your riparian area setbacks, are they normal setbacks, or are they? I believe I read a report that the setbacks have actually the distance has almost doubled.
Yeah, you're right. It's more than a regular riparian area development permit area. So it establishes from the foreshore up into the rest of the community a gradation of reporting requirements. So normally those would stop at 30 meters, these go beyond. So the closer you are to the foreshore, the more challenging it would be to develop, the more care and attention there is. But the further you get away, there still are reporting requirements, but it does take more into consideration than you would a regular riparian or development area.
Okay, so a couple of things as far as the OCP, the policies, can an OCP policy, can it reflect like affordable housing options, or is that how it works, or or housing for seniors, or different, or just, is it more general, just densities and,
The Harrison Mills plan specifically talks about just land use designation.
Mhm.
So spelling out what types of land uses would be permitted within those different designations. So like single family built form, commercial, resort type uses that we see at Sandpiper, but it doesn't specifically get into seniors housing.
can it? Can you make,
Sure.
sorry,
Through the chair to Director Wardenberg, I'll take that one. So the OCP, again, being kind of that high level policy document, does speak to those kinds of things such as affordable housing and age-friendly housing. We understand those needs in Area C through our housing needs report. It identifies gaps in those particular types of needs, and we ensure that we reflect the need to address those particular items in the OCP. Oftentimes it's in the form of advocacy, so seeking those types of uses to be identified in development proposals, but it is identified in OCP.
okay, thank you. One last thing for now, so on our Have Your Say website, right now I see that we have still the 3 projects that are separate. I think the board resolved to combine them now. Is that going to change? Are we going to make it all one OCP?
So for the Have Your Say sites?
Yeah.
Yeah, we struggle with that because they are ongoing and active, and we've got hyperlinks out in the community for all 3. So what we're going to do is have a disclaimer at the top of all 3 pages explaining how they come together, and then link the 3 pages, but we weren't able to bring them all into one, still have those links still active. So
Yeah, I think it's providing some confusion at this point, or will in the future, in my opinion. So all of the responses to date will still be available on the website, on the Have Your Say?
yeah, the sites are still active and live.
And will continue until this process is complete.
That's our plan at this point, but if there's a better way that we can get this information out there, I'm open to suggestions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Director Wardenberg. Director Castle.
Thank you, Chair Dickey. I just want to clarify that the purpose of this report is to demonstrate a preliminary plan based on consultation. Is that correct?
Through the chair to Director Castle. So are you referring to the report that's on today's agenda?
Yes.
So our presentation today was simply to summarize sort of some key policy directions that you can expect to see next month in the OCP and give a preview of the land use plans. The staff report that is on today's agenda is a summary of the consultation that has occurred on all 3 projects up to now. So it's essentially a summary of the early consultation that has occurred. And in almost every case, the consultation that was received has in some way been incorporated into the draft plan that you will see next month.
Awesome. Thank you. And all of the data, all of the consultation data that's in that report, including all the links and all of the comments on Appendix C, that's all available to the public on the FDRD website.
Through the chair to Director Castle, that's correct. So those links go directly to the Have Your Say pages, which are public facing communication pages for the projects. And then of course the staff report itself is also publicly available on the agenda.
Just one final question. I was searching for the section of positive feedback. Is that located somewhere else?
So through the chair to Director Castle, yes, to answer your question, There has been significant engagement that has occurred on all three projects up to now. We have had some very recent feedback that we've received that hasn't previously been made publicly available. And so that is what you're seeing kind of highlighted on this most recent report. But there have been numerous public information meetings, workshop style meetings with the community to work through the Harrison Mills neighborhood plan, as well as the Area C OCP, and consultation summaries of those meetings are available on the Have Your Say pages. So it is a matter of going back in time over the last, 2 to 3 years that we've been undertaking this early engagement, but it is all summarized there.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're seeing all of the feedback, the good, the bad, the ugly. Yep, thanks.
Good. Thank you, Director Castle. Director Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your report and information. I may have more than one question, but the first one is, are you able to tell me currently what the Lake Erie community population is, or housing units, or what?
Off the top of my head, I believe the current population is around 460 people and that's between North and South Lake Erie.
Okay, all right. And then it's, so if I'm reading some of the comments, and I haven't read them all, but the ones that I have read are not particularly favorable at this moment in time. So assuming this goes to first reading, what's the process then for addressing those? This is a large development, the Harrison Rise one, and I'm just kind of looking for the next steps, what might happen.
Through the chair to Director Dixon. We intend to kind of present what those next steps will be next month.
Okay.
But to summarize quickly for you, essentially, once the plan has received or has been considered for first reading, it really sets the stage to review an actual document with the community. So up until now, a lot of our conversations have been theoretical. Concerns have been brought forward, and we haven't been able to demonstrate how we've addressed those concerns through policy in the plan. Having a draft plan that's been given a reading by the board will allow us to facilitate those conversations probably in a more effective way with the community. We can sit down over a document and pick through policies that speak to those specific concerns they're identifying. It gives the community, it gives stakeholders and provincial agencies something to really sink their teeth into and to comment on how we've addressed their early concerns identified in the early consultation process.
Thank you. One follow-up. So that would be, okay, so you talked about addressing, working with the community. Would, just my off the top of my head, I guess, from what I've quickly read, is that it's the size of the project that seems to be creating some challenges for if I was, a lot of people who have written in. Will you also be working with the developers around, would there be willing to make any changes, or is that set in stone? I just kind of want to know if there's give and take, possibly.
Through the chair, I'd say that there's definitely some fundamental opposition to the proposal in general, and there's probably no technical reports that will dissuade some folks from that opinion. The developer, it's their application, so they can make changes after first reading as they see fit. The process is open to change up until the public hearing. So if we're going to be making changes to the application, if we've received it from them, they're going to say the same feedback the committee and board receive as well. So they can make changes to their application if they wish.
Thank you.
Good. So I see no other comments. So thank you, Ms. Well, pardon me, Director Wardenberg.
So, through the chair to the staff, one thing about so the referrals to all the different agencies, they went out in 2022, I think. They go all out again once a draft is proposed and goes to first reading, and after that, the different agencies are get a referral with the draft in it.
That's correct. So subsequent to consideration first, so after that occurs, then we do our formal referrals. So after first reading is when we send it out to other agencies, indigenous communities, And that's when that occurs. You're right.
So it would be definitely, I would anticipate there would be some changes just from the response to those referrals.
We undertook early referrals at the stage when the application was received, but now that there's actually a draft policy plan behind it now, that's when it needs to go out for that formal comment from the different referral agencies.
Okay, look forward to it. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Director Wardenberg. And thank you again, Ms. Hipwell and Mr. Bennett, for a very nice presentation. This is for information only, so there isn't any required motion. So we'll move forward to Ms. Kinnaman.
Thank you. 7.1 is the draft Electoral Area Services Committee meeting minutes of May 9th, 2024.
A motion, move Director Wardenberg, second Director Dixon. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
8.1 is an information item. It's the Union of British Columbia Municipalities Convention meeting requests.
Okay. Any discussion, directors? Appears not.
Moving down to 9.1, which is Financial Plan 2024 to 2028 Amendment for June.
Motion. Director Castle, second Director Johnson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
9.2 is a 2024 grant and aid request for the Boston Bar North Bend Enhancement Society and Electoral Area A.
Motion, move Director Johnson, second Director Dixon. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
9.3 is a 2024 grant and aid request for the Boston Bar North Bend Bowling Association and Electoral Area A.
Once again, Ms. Director Johnson moves, second Director McAhonik. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
9.4 is a 2024 grant and aid request for the River Monster Swim Club in Electoral Area B.
Motion, move Director Dixon, second Director Johnson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
9.5 is a 2024 grant and aid request for the Hemlock Valley Homeowner Association in Electoral Area C.
Motion, Director Wardenberg, second Director Castle. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
9.6 is a 2024 grant and aid request for the DeRoche Farmers Market in Electoral Areas C and G.
Motion, Director Castle, second Director Wardenberg. Any discussion? None, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
9.7 is a 2024 grant and aid request for the Cultus Lake Community School Association in Electoral Area H.
Director Dixon moves, second Director Johnson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
And 9.8 is a 2024 grant and aid request for ACES in Electoral Areas C and G.
Motion, Director Wardenberg, second Director Castle. Discussion. I, for one, would be very interested in seeing Director Castle and Director Wardenberg leading a tour for the director, the EA directors to have a look at the Mother Earth Magic Food Forest Garden. Maybe we could do that someday.
I would be more than happy, especially when the fruit is right.
All those in favor, contrary, motion carries.
10.1 is a development variance permit 2024-02 to reduce the rear setback at 12202 Hodgkin Road in Electoral Area C.
Motion, Director Wardenberg, second Director Dixon. Discussion. Hearing none, seeing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
10.2 is an agricultural land commission application for a non-adhering residential use at 58261 Fancher Road in Electoral Area B.
Motion, Director Johnson, second Director Dixon. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
10.3 is strata title conversion application of a previously occupied duplex at 20942 Snowflake Crescent in Electoral Area C.
Director Wardenberg moves, second. Director Dixon, second. That's a happening place, Area C. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
10.4 is the Fraser Valley Regional District Bylaw Offense Notice Enforcement Amendment Bylaw number 1740. There is a motion for your consideration.
For motion, move Director Castle, second Director Davidson. There we go. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
11.1 is the FERD Quarterly Update. It's an information item.
Okay, any discussion? Seems to be none.
Okay, so then we'll move down to item 14, which is reports by electoral area directors.
Hey, Director Johnson, would you like to lead off?
Thank you, Chair. I don't have anything to add from my report this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Wardenberg.
Yeah, short report. I was able to attend the AGM for the tourism Harrison River Valley last week, and I also look forward to the start of the Rose Farmers Market coming this Saturday, and yeah, right beside that exceptional forest or food forest, you might say. And I look forward to seeing everybody at the Stella's First Nation tomorrow.
Great, thank you,
Thank
Director
you.
Wardenberg. Director Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is a repeat for me, but it's just in case there's somebody online listening this time around. I think we have a few extra staff in here. Had a really great Fire Smart activity in the Parkview area, and that was a chipping program. And many thanks to Mr. Schellenberg and the Fire Smart program for setting that up. And I know that the people were really, really happy to have that. So that was a great thing for our area. Had a tour of the Cultus Lake wastewater treatment plant, and again, it really was pretty fun to be out there with staff showing off their baby, and it's coming along and looks great, and really excited. Another real win for Area H. And two coming events that you're welcome to participate in: the Pike Minnow Derby this coming Saturday, dawn till 2, free fishing for those who like to fish. Come and get rid of those really ugly pike minnows. That would be fun, and it's also a chance to catch some smallmouth bass because we are trying to see where that situation is at Cultus Lake, as well as Cultus Lake Day, which is Saturday the 22nd, and lots of fun on that day: pancake breakfast, parades, and markets and things like that. Want it?
Great, thank you, Director Dixon. Director McElhaney.
Able to attend there we go. He's able to attend the Post Creek AGM, and we've been working with a tourism Chilliwack with a committee from Area E on signage, and it looks like we finally have our sign that is ready to go up. So that's going to be helpful in letting people know to keep our wild spaces wild, no cell reception, and in partnership with the Chilliwack. So I think it looks really beautiful when we get it up. Been trying to work with different Fraser Valley Regional District, Modi, and that on signage on the no parking, no camping signs, which seemed to have been removed from many places. And, you know, with fire hazards and different things, we really need to have them back. It's been a bit of a challenge to try and find out who's responsible. And I know that staff are working on kind of track all that down. So, and I realize that once we get it tracked down, then we'll have to figure out how we're paying for it. But we really, really need to try and figure out a way to make that happen. Really happy to say that the Slessie, the newly fire smarted neighborhood, actually had 6 more properties join them last year, which was really good. And we've had some, I think I mentioned before, we've had some violence attributed to, we think, homeless camps, and we've had 2 fires, and they may have been attributed to homeless encampment. It's not confirmed, but that's what is being thought. And then, I don't know if we spoke about this before, but we do have more tourism out. It is getting busy, and we've had over the past couple months, 2 fatalities from ATV accidents, with young women, losing their lives. So other than that, I'm noticing, I've been in contact with the RCMP as part of our stakeholders group, and they are in more attendance out in the Chilliwack River Valley, which is really appreciated. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Director Makahonic. Castle?
Thank you, Chair Dickey. I was pleased to have been invited to attend the opening of the new La Camel Daycare, which is actually located in Area C, and have the opportunity to tour the beautiful facility in a spectacular setting right in the middle of the La Camel neighborhood. It's a fabulous addition to our community, and I'd like to thank La Camel First Nation Council for inviting me to join them in their celebration. There was bannock. You always get me if there's bannock served. There was a massive mobile home fire in Desroches last night. I'd like to give a shout out to the North Fraser Fire Department for their work to extinguish the blaze with help from fire departments from both Mission and Agassiz. I'd like to thank both of those departments who sent crews and tankers, which allowed more water to be put on the blaze in a shorter amount of time. When I spoke with Chief Bars this morning, he was grateful that North Fraser Fire Department is now an interior fire department, which allowed crews to enter the structure and enabled them to save a portion of the home, which is where personal documents are stored and clothing. So while there's not much left of these people's homes, they were able to get some clothes on their backs and their personal documents out. It was a long night for our first responders and a scary one for the neighborhood. A big thanks to all involved. And as Director Wardenberg announced, the Desroches Farmers Market officially opens for the season this Saturday. We'd like you to join us and come out and check all of the vendors. I believe it's a record number of vendors that have signed up for the market this week, and hope to see you in downtown Desroches this Saturday from 10 to 2. Thank you.
Good, thank you, Director Castle. Director Davidson.
Thank you, Chair. As you are all well aware, illegal fill remains a top of mind concern. Community is on high alert and likely to stay that way for a while. And of course, flooding discussions with Hatsick Watershed Stewardship team are ongoing, and yeah, we'll keep at it. But yeah, that's it for me. Thank you.
Good, thank you, Director Davidson, and have nothing to report from Popham, but I would like to invite everyone to come and visit many Popham's many parks, and you can stop in for a Starbucks coffee and a dilly bar. Okay, with that, we'll turn things back to our CEO.
Thank you. So now it's time for public question period for items relevant to the agenda. We no longer have any members of the public joining us here in the boardroom this afternoon, but I will turn things over to Jamie Van Ness to check in online.
Thank you. We do have at least one member of the public joining us on Zoom today. So this is your opportunity to ask a question relevant to the agenda. If you do have a question, you can just hit the raise hand function to indicate you have a question. And it doesn't appear our viewer has any questions, and we can move to the next item.
So looking for a resolution to close the meeting.
Motion, Director Johnson moves, second Director Wardenberg. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, contrary, motion carries.
Okay, just give us 2 or 3 minutes to set up the room. Questions?